everybody. It's Jamie from Lemon Rebellion. I'm here today speaking with BerHenda Williams. It's good to see you, BerHenda. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing great. I'm thrilled to be here talking with you.
Thanks.
So I want to let everyone know a little bit about who you are, though. So let me introduce you. BerHenda is a visionary and empath coach. She supports empathic, creative, visionary empaths to find their voice, embrace feminine power, and create mission-based businesses in service of social transformation, justice, and equity. And when she's not doing that, she runs a girls leadership program, The Power of Girlhood, for girls 8 to 18. That's awesome. And además es una poeta bilingüe. She's also a bilingual poet. She believes feminine empaths are here to disrupt the patriarchy and oppression with their mission-based businesses. BerHenda, I'm so excited about you and what you're doing, and I'm thrilled to say that you're also presenting at Lemon Rebellion on Friday, September 24th. Tell us a little more about who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into some questions.
Absolutely. I'm so thrilled to be here, but I really think you've encapsulated everything that I do. I might be leaving some things off, but I think that, yeah, you've captured the essence of everything that I do.
Awesome. Cool. Well, tell us a little bit more. For maybe the word empath might not be completely native to everyone's vocabulary. So like, what characteristics define an empath?
Sure. So I think that by nature, a lot of those who identify as feminine are empathic. Just maybe hadn't put it in a context. But empath, the telltale sign of an empath is one who can sense the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of another person as if they were going through it or feeling it um, firsthand. So it's in the body, right?
Yeah.
So they can walk into a room, be in proximity to someone, and feel exactly what they're feeling. And it can be a bit alarming and off-putting because you might be in one mood and then can't understand why all of a sudden your mood has shifted. Now, it can also not necessarily be negative emotions that you're picking up, but you are very attuned, very much like an antenna will go up
Yeah.
as you're around other people. So that's one of the biggest telltale signs of an empath.
Interesting. I appreciate you taking a moment to explain that, because I think that we don't always realize what is causing that shift and may feel like, okay, well, I'm an empathetic person, but not realize that this is really almost like a prototype or an archetype, a kind of person. I think that's interesting. So thank you. And do empaths, I mean, that characteristic of feeling the room, not just reading the room, but feeling and absorbing that energy, is that a gift or a burden? How would an empath look at that or use that in their lives?
I love that question because so many empaths do look at it as a burden, but really it's a superpower. And where we are in our humanity, it's going to require a great deal of empathy to help us evolve. And so I'm here in the United States, and many of us watched the racial reckoning that happened in the United States last summer and the lightning rod moments of the murder of George Floyd. And I think it sent a shockwave across the world. It was a palpable feeling. And so I think that that's a great indicator for empaths to, or for those who may be questioning if they're empathic, how did that impact you? Because things that happen on a global scale, whether it's, again, a racial reckoning, but also natural disasters, right? The emotions, the surge of energy on the planet is very viral. And a highly sensitive person or an empathic person can really feel that in their bodies. So is it a burden? There are ways which I will share in my gift that is available to participants about grounding and shielding your energy so that you're not overwhelmed and overtaken by it. But I think that, again, like I said, it can be kind of off-putting if you're not aware this is your nature. And I love the word archetype. That's like one of my favorite things. We could geek out on that all day. So that ability to really tap in to the collective is really, I think, important for the type of leadership that we're going to need. And that type of connection is what's going to create shifts, especially in our leadership when it comes to the decision making, when it comes to how we run our businesses, how we run our educational systems. All
Yeah.
of it has to shift monumentously. But it really is going to take a person that has an empathic heart to be at the helm of the leadership that we're needing.
Yeah. How how do you think being more empathic equips people? And I'm asking this question, I'm already anticipating the answer, but I'd love to hear it from you. How does being empathic or sensitive equip leaders to be better leaders, or equip people to lead the kind of change we need to make the world a more just, equitable,
Mm.
kind, and loving place?
Yeah, because it looks at multiple perspectives because you're so tapped into, again, the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of other people to the degree you have deep insight and vision. So you're not myopic in the choices that you make or what's possible.
Mm.
You're definitely thinking, I mean, of course, if you're leading any sort of organization or your own business, you want it to be profitable, but you also want it to be impactful and purposeful.
Yeah,
So an empath is going to look at the ways that the institution or business can be a benefit to the whole.
yeah. Oh, yes, we need so much more of that. So much more of that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. How, tell us a little bit more about your work. How do you work with your clients and your people to develop these gifts and put them to use in the right direction?
Yeah. So it's really about leaning into versus running away from. So, a lot of times an empath will want to self-soothe. So, I mean, the shadow side of it can manifest itself as overeating, maybe indulging in, alcohol or caffeine, just, ways to kind of power through or numb. And I invite my clients to actually sit in and feel. And so the more that we can heal ourselves,
Yeah.
especially the empathic gift will manifest itself very early on. So studies have shown that many empaths identify really in childhood when they trace it back.
Mm.
So for those in your audience that are familiar with ACE, which is adverse childhood
Right.
experience, right? Empaths will tend to have higher ACE scores because you want to be the peacemaker, right?
Yeah.
You want to protect yourself. Perhaps you want to protect a sibling. So you have to sort of know and feel your environment. So it's instinctual to be
And
anticipatory, right? Of not just the needs, but threats that
mhm.
are in your environment. And many empaths will also identify as old souls
Yeah.
because in many cases they do come here with deeper wisdom, but also again because of the environments they're in, they may have to grow up faster,
Mm, mhm.
right? So how do we then synthesize or do some alchemy on that? You heal and you transmute, and you take what has been an adversity or what you may have felt like was a burden
Yeah.
and flip it and look at ways in which this can be a benefit, right? So we do a lot of, inner child work. We do some excavation of the shadow. And so for those who are maybe not familiar with shadow work, Carl Jung has this beautiful framework of psychology around dealing with the parts of ourselves that we like to hide or maybe separate from. And
Mm,
again, a lot of that emerges in childhood. So by the time the client gets to me, many of them are very wildly successful women. They maybe have a master's, but it's still not enough,
yeah.
or they feel that they have to be all things to all people to be the savior. And here's the thing: we're here to serve, not to save.
Oh my goodness, that is beautiful. Yes. Yes, yes, yes to all of that. It's a good phrase. I like that. We're here to serve, not to save. It takes the burden off of it, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, because we weren't built for it. We're human beings, not human doings, and so we weren't built for it. However, if we can embrace the healing opportunities that we have and really look at where our natural gifts, skills, talents, and abilities are,
Yeah.
because empaths are very resourceful, they
Mm,
are very intuitive, insanely creative. And so we need something new to disrupt the system that we
Yeah.
were in, pre-COVID.
Yeah, yes, very good. I love all of this. I'm so excited about what you're going to do and what you're doing, who you are, what you're going to share at Lemon Rebellion. Tell us a little more. What will it be like to come to your session at Lemon Rebellion? What will people experience or learn, or what kind of insights might they expect to have because of being there with
Yeah.
you?
So again, I think I kind of alluded to the transmutation and
Yeah.
alchemy, which is really, just fancy words for changing one thing to another, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I love
So
alchemy though, because it implies the internal shifts, the magic, the things we don't understand, but that help us change of perspective. Yeah.
yeah, oh my goodness. So we're gonna go right into the dark night of the soul. Many empaths will acknowledge that there is like an awakening or a shift. For those in the spiritual community, we'll say that there's an awakening that happens. And so life as you know it gets disrupted.
Yeah.
And so when life as you know it has become disrupted, what do you do?
Yeah.
And instead of running from it, because the dark night of the soul, there's no absolution, there's no way you can escape it. You have to sit in it. And as a leader, discomfort and ambiguity are the things that you find yourself often in. And this is when the proverbial what hits the fan. And I mean, this is like in every area of your life,
You can
right?
say it if you want.
Okay. When the shit hits the fan.
Yes.
Great. So glad that there's the freedom there. Right.
I,
And
I'm a big fan of 4-letter words.
okay, me too. So this is when, everything in your life gets disrupted. So maybe a relationship ends, a job ends,
Right.
friendships, or the things that you were previously interested in, no longer hold your interest, or you no longer want to put yourself in those places where you usually, go to. So
Yeah.
what's new? So there's this juxtaposition of what's old for what's emerging.
Yeah.
And so we'll be talking about how to navigate the dark night of the soul so that you can really come into the brightest, most, I would say, expressed version of yourself.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're going to be talking about that, because that moment of transition when you're between your of what's becoming and what was, and that is a hard moment to go through without community and support. And that's a big part of what Lemon Rebellion is about, is bringing together people like yourself that have different gifts and resources and insights and perspectives that can help people, from all walks of life, from all moments in their journey, to have some support in those moments of transition between was and will be.
Yeah. And when the scales are, removed, so to speak, when you're going through that transitional period, you may see and become very discontented with with the world, with the community, right?
Yeah.
And so that righteous indignation can really lead you then. So like, okay, so with this juicy anger,
Yeah.
right? Because we do need to destroy before we can have something new.
Mm.
Then you can move into a space of creativity. What is now possible?
Yeah. I like it. You have great little phrases. Juicy anger. That's another good one. I like that. It's right, because it's filled with life. Like if anger, when it's dry or hot or hard, it feels like anger or destruction. But juicy anger makes me feel like life or something is being born and moved through that anger. I like it.
Oh, well, it's totally like, what was the phrase, good trouble. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I love that. That was John Lewis. So, civil rights
Yeah.
activist, he said we need to get into good trouble. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. And like that is really righteous indignation, is that
Yeah.
when we challenge a system that is oppressive, and when we look at, societal norms that disregard vulnerable populations, what kind of society is that? In any society that definitely, and I'm going to put on my feminist hat here, that has reckless disregard for the feminine, all of those societies have passed away. We don't see those empires anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so are we building empires, or are we building legacy?
Yeah. Good. That's a good one too. I love it. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. I think you need to have your whole own like week-long event. going to get into this more. It's really good stuff.
Well, thank
Okay.
you.
Well, BerHenda, before we wind up the interview, do you
Mhm.
have any kind of like last words or last invitation you'd like to share with anyone that's listened today and gotten interested in knowing you more, what you do, and what we're going to do at Lemon Rebellion?
Oh my goodness, be rebellious.
Hell yeah.
Be rebellious. Tell a friend, bring someone in, because I know, we're still, everything is flexed up right now and nothing is solid. And we are in such a space of transition. I mean, yes, the world is slowly opening back up, but I think that Lemon Rebellion is a great place to come together for a collective blueprint of where we go next. So we're all architecting the future, every last one of us. And I think that when we think about, the divine, when we think about connection, and I think this is what's so powerful about it being an empath, you implicitly know that we are all connected. And so what impacts you impacts me.
Mhm.
And we cannot move in this space of it only affects this group over here. It only affects,
Everyone.
men or women or, gay, straight, bi, however you identify.
Mhm.
We don't have single issues. And I think sometimes in leadership and in spiritual spaces, we can have the toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Shit is not always good.
No.
It's not. And to call it out doesn't make it bad. It doesn't attract more. This is what is. And if
Yeah.
we don't deal with what is, then we can't move to what's possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So
It
sign
makes
up,
me
bring
emotional.
a friend or two or three. Yeah, because I mean, this is
Yeah, let's talk about
whatever.
these things.
Yeah. Put it on the table.
Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Cool. BerHenda, again, I'm so grateful that you're joining Lemon Rebellion and for what you're doing and for this message that you have. You're really an incredible woman, and thank you for being part of it. And for anyone that's listened, Lemon Rebellion is happening September 19th through the 25th. It's a live virtual summit online, and we want to see you there. Don't miss it. Bring your friends. Sign up at lemonrebellion.com. And BerHenda, can't wait to hear more from you then.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See y'all later.